Good afternoon, dear colleagues. The time has come to talk about our peering, very much respected peering. I'd like to introduce and ensure the participants of Konstantin Beklev from YellowSkyX, Dmitry Krikov, NG, NX, Alexander Rogdev, Rostelecom, Martin Semrad, IXPs, and Vitaly from NX from Krasnoyarsk. RedX from Krasnoyarsk. We have invited the players for different players on the internet, in the internet area, to consider this issue of traffic exchange from different angles. I would like to invite the participants to introduce their news and talk about their latest developments. We should probably start from left to the right, dear colleagues. I don't think many people know about RedX. Our roots are in Krasnoyarsk. We used to know KRSIX. That's an independent commercial project developing independently from NSK IX. We went through rebranding, and we are now called RedX because we are not limited by Krasnoyarsk alone. We are working in the framework of Siberia, and that's why those changes. Since we are geographically, say, the geographic center of the country, we do see interesting trends, be it negative and the positive ones, and I guess I'll talk more about this later. Martin, would you please?
Yeah, I think that I introduced all the news from IXPs in my past presentation.
Dzień dobry, коллеги.
Good afternoon, dear colleagues. I'm representing NGenX company, the first and largest Russian CDN, providing content to a large number of media and internet projects. We have over 24 of nodes over Russia, and we specialize mainly in Russia, talking about interesting news. Quite recently, we became a part of the Safe Data company, thus have entered Rostelecom group. Thus, we can, of course, offer wider interesting services in the partnership with our colleagues. We are YellowSkyX. It started developing in year 2003. On the 9th May 2008, we are officially launched. We don't have that many participants, 14. But we do hope to grow. This peering point in Ulyanovsk is between Samara and Kazan, and respectively for a number of networks, it can be an advantage. Because both Kazan and Samara that way are accessible with equal delay. That would probably be it for now. We as Rostelecom among IXs stand out a little bit among our colleagues, but our news are quite interesting. The traffic is growing very rapidly. In many IXs, we moved to 100 gigabit connection. The number of IXs n times 100, those are European IXs. We have clients on 100 gigabit ports. The whole of the backbone is being moved to 100 gigabit port. Talking about PR distributed PIRs, we have many cities. I'll be going into details later. Talking about our partners in Russia, we started moving to 100 gigabit ports previous years. We are using them quite successfully and have quite big capacity. That's it, I guess. Oh, dear colleagues, my first question to the Internet Exchange representatives. What are the specific trends for local traffic exchange on the market? What do you see in your activity in your daily activities, what way should you grow, what are growth points, and what's actually pushing the local traffic growth. Maybe I should start the topic. As I have mentioned, we do see both positive and negative trends in regional access. Out of the drawbacks, the negatives, the main threat for 2015 is the decrease of participants in regional peerings. At the moment, we have few participants altogether, and continuing losing those participants down to 10 or 15 might be a no return point, after which IXs might cease to exist, or they might have to reconsider their concept significantly. That is mainly caused by the peering policy by the backbone providers. We hear that Rostelecom and MTS intend to leave original IXs this year. If we do any colleagues from the companies present in the audience, I would like to hear their comments there too, talking about additional risks. There are mergers and acquisitions processes reactivating. Large alternative providers are coming to the marketplace interested to buy smaller, weaker players, and that's the reason why the number of players is decreasing. We do feel it, and within the last 2 years, we see 2-3 participants disconnecting, but since we are enlarging our geography, we are able to keep the number of participants at a stable level. Sometimes we even see growth. At the moment, we have 60 participants, and we continue growing them thanks to connecting new cities. Working with new cities. Talking about the positive aspects, we see the overall trends of increased amount of traffic due to traffic localization and legalization of traffic. One actually helps the other. Talking about large content providers, those who wanted to go through regional access have already done so. The other players obviously are doing that topic dependent on their capabilities. Thus, regional peering traffic continues growing. The topic that is not very covered very well in the regional peerings is working with torrent traffic. And I suspect that many or significant part of providers are not working with the local torrent trackers and are not trying to connect it with a DPI system. In this sense, peering might end up being a very interesting entrance point if you didn't use local tracker. You could now use it, and on top of that, you can consider DPI and how you can crossbreed it with a local tracker. And the question to the audience: do we have here any operators that are using SCAD software? Operators, could you please raise your hand if we have any in the audience? I see none. In one of the latest releases, they have declared support of such option as a joint torrent tracker, and in line with their declaration, they managed to get some 90% of the torrent tracker inside the network or in the peering, depending of their configuration. There is an overall trend that allows the peerings to grow their traffic, changing the paradigm from the cable of the traffic we start having. Of course, large players are looping the traffic on themselves, but internet service provider LTT will take some of that to themselves and continue developing quite actively. Out of additional aspects, I'd like to mention that at the moment we don't have significant OTT player as a video service, even though we have some of the aspects, and I suspect that some let's say Tricolor might come to the market, and with their advertising budget they can raise the market significantly and increase some amount of traffic in peering networks. That would be it for me.
I can say from our point of view, the development in regional IXPs like NIX.SK or NIX.CZ is, we have to do or provide really quality infrastructure which our members can rely on it. And it is very important to be prepared for growing of the traffic because the new services are coming to the market, video services, OTT and others, and also the major content players are coming to local markets, and they want to be closer to the end users in our area. And also for us it's very important to work with the community in our markets, because it is necessary to be in touch and with our members, and we do only what our members want to do. And as the result is, for example, the Phoenix project about security, as I said in my presentation, and these other projects, also a working group, legal, it is the new value for our members, where we can act as not only as a technical organization, but as an organization of people, and building the bridges between members and other entities in the region.
No,
I would mainly agree with RedX. In our case, we see certain growth in 10 gigabyte gigabit ports. Let's talk about the trends. Talking about the retracker, that was of interest for me to listen to this. We have reached some million peers. A retracker. Talking about the threats, potential dangers, quite often in case of some non-standard situations, we can end up having more traffic coming into IX than the ports capability that we have to consider for those aspects as well. In this, even though we are not in IX, we have something to say. We see many operators, for example, talking about work with Rostelecom and do the peering, despite the fact that we have a closed peering policy. We are quite flexible to peering with broadband providers in some local markets, and the number of such peers is growing. The intention, the desire of broadband providers to exclude some intermediaries, that's okay, that's not that bad. I'd like to say that such technologies as retracker, the local retracker, are not actually cutting the amount of the traffic in the external channels. Obviously, we need to think about how to work with that, how to organize it, and Rostelecom is trying to do that. Dear colleagues, I'd like to add a few words to Konstantin's message about the existing challenge of an unforecasted difficulty of forecasting growth in the traffic, some spikes and some challenges there. The trends are that we are having more and more HD on the internet, and for example in our case we see that in case of some large events the traffic from a normal situation, from a regular situation, might spike some by 20 times. For example, we had hockey championship broadcast, quite a vivid example. We shouldn't be looking at that as a challenge. We just need to look for the solutions, how to live properly in such situations.
ответил, что мы с удовольствием.
My answer would be that we would ask all HDNs so we can install 10 units of equipment. And we have a lot of room, but we don't have enough CDNs. But this question actually is closely connected with my next question. Why do we need INX how to find this point where you need new IX, where there is a new peering. Is 10 enough, or how many is now? Or you need enough providers who would like to have peering among each other, and any other factors which you have to take into account when you organize a new peering point. It's a question addressed to everybody at the round table. Who would like to say something? We believe that now to start IX in any city, it's not enough to calculate number of providers. Well, there should be at least more than 10 of them in order to pull the blanket of peers on yourself instead of these providers. You first have to turn into content point where you can distribute traffic to attract additional participants from the neighborhood. Nearest towns, and something can happen. And if you organize just peering with one core, well, it will not be efficient now. Unfortunately, there is one more tendency which is not good for peering, and it is that the prices on the IP transit in regions are just going down very quickly because of the alternative market of the a market is developing, and sometimes there are situations when the provider takes the 1 gigabyte port, and of course it's not works on 100% load. It calculates the efficient price of the gigabytes, and it's about 60-70 rubles for a gigabyte, and the price of the transit is 80-100. So you lose the advantage which you have in the region, and which actually basically was attracting for peering, and sometimes participants can simply refuse from this service because it doesn't matter for him. Yes, it's better content, but the money is priority. It's easier sometimes to have one channel and to forget about everything else.
I mainly doesn't agree that the money is everything for the operators. I believe from our experience that the IXP has to play also another role, how to act on the telecommunication market. We have to describe to the operators the value of internet exchange points, because the internet exchange points provides the possibility how to set up the ways to the networks which normally will be not able to set up via transit operators. It's true that the price of IXPs and ISPs is at this time similar, but I still believe that the demand of our members for IXP services is still strong, and they see the value of IXPs in the internet infrastructure.
Well, that's very interesting and the right topic. The IXs, it's not just channels. We have to move towards the content, because what's the specific points of the CDN and why we'll look at it from the different angle. Of course, we have to provide good quality for our end users, but one of the main functions of the caching is caching. And from one hand, for the good connection, of course, it's the more different points we have, the better. But on the other hand, to cache efficiently, and you need some kind of aggregation. And we are interested in having exchanges in the regions, and will be interesting to be there, and we need some kind of aggregation. Well, I believe that it's an important issue, the network infrastructure in terms of DNS, and because now we have a lot of DOSes different resources, and it allows to get closer to the end client service, to move service closer to the end clients, and to protect the DNS system in the CDN as well. Well, actually, the question is when IRCs die, and at what price for the megabyte. We have been discussing it for the last 5 years when they'll die, and all international conference. But IRCs are still alive; they're still around, and it's good because, from my viewpoint, IX must be in every subject of federation to localize traffic in one city, in one region. On the other hand, I like the latest tendencies when operators, transit providers, when operators disconnect from small IXs and connect to Rostelecom, getting the full view and the complete connectivity. But I can say that if content doesn't go to the region, so regional IXs will not feel good. My question is to participants, to the clients of INX. When you choose the connection point, what role does geography play? Well, the place of location of IX, is geography a defining factor, decisive factor? And if you are connected to INX, how do you evaluate the efficiency of peering and its impact on the regional business of this connection? That's an interesting question, actually. How can you evaluate IX? For example, you don't have the system of objective measurements of objectiveness. So what can we do with the content operator? We can appreciate the length of the route. We can look at statistics of traffic from the different ISs. So we can come to a conclusion how optimal from the network topology we work with this or that point. And of course, it doesn't tell us about the quality of this route. It tells us all about the length of this route. And not about delays, not about possible problems on the way. So how can you fight with this? How can you get objective information, objective data? We organize some kind of a system which we call it real user monitoring, and it works like when you download the site, when you open the video player directly from the client's computer, not from the network of operator, but directly from the user, we get some kind of statistics about the response time, about the accessibility of test objects, about the downloading video. It's more interesting that the band, because we sell users experience. And for us, it's important not about how fast ping goes, but how quickly the site downloads, what's the quality of the video without delays, without breaks, and through this, getting data from the end users, you can build up quite an objective picture. And if you overlap it on the information which you can get from operators, well, this information can be used to optimize routes or to come to conclusion how efficient we are in certain points, and with whom we should establish peering. Maybe you have to or maybe we have some problems, economic problems on some points. So with this kind of instrument, we can come to precise conclusions, and we can feedback our own work. But we do present on some certain servers, because for us, for example, to install caching nodes on the nodes which we already work, we will increase peering. So we have open peering policy. So we're happy to do that. So far as Rostelecom works in all subjects of federation, and and it's everywhere in the NKX. So if they open new points from viewpoint of location, and there's they're interested everywhere, of course we'll join, we'll connect, and we don't have, unfortunately, a good tool to show some kind of an objective picture for us. What is objective? It's the average load on the port in the IX and the network delay to the subscriber within one city. A couple of words more about the methods of measurement, and we can measure not just work of our network, because test object can be downloaded from anywhere. We can discuss how this instrument can be used for the inference of other colleagues. Right now, we have more than 10 million measurements. It's not just a selective things. It's a continuous flow of information. I think can be useful for others. Do I understand you correctly that? First of all, there is a question of not economical, but it's about the quality of the service which you provide to your clients. So connecting to IX is one of the components of increasing the quality of the original. Yes, exactly so. And right now we're talking about the quality, and we think that the purpose of IX and the Rostelecom, it's to have a local network within one city. And of course, for CDN, it's the story is the same. It's first of all the productivity from the end customer and the satisfaction of the clients, and to do well in economics. Of course, we will not install the caching nodes everywhere. So, colleagues, we are running out of time, and if we have one question which we have to ask to our questions, and the IXP, the abbreviation IXP, the Internet Exchange Points, and point, which is a peering point. And do we really? Is it the time now to build something different, for example, IXN, Internet Exchange Networks, for traffic exchange? Do you think it's time to do that? Shall I begin? So RedX is doing exactly that in the format of IXP format. It's one point, but we connect with participants from other cities and gives us a second breath. And it's the market of the alternative fiber, so you can install your own node and just install VLAN in your own server in the core. And I would just like to piggyback to the next question. They, for some reason, they don't talk about it. There is a problem with the mobile internet, and it's about the nodes of the aggregation of the mobile internet providers. They are sometimes in unpredictable places. For example, in Krasnoyarsk, some suppliers route traffic through Moscow. So the aggregation is in Moscow. Sometimes it's in Novosibirsk. But the end user is in Krasnoyarsk, and they want to work with their own operators and the content. They want to give out the content from Krasnoyarsk to Krasnoyarsk. So with the developments of the mobile internet, we have to solve this problem. Yelena meant that not just channels to build the full-scale co-Ethernet network. It's complicated situations, and in Russia we do have some cases in which we have such attempts to do such things, and I believe that the multiplying these products, spreading these projects is not possible now. These networks can work, but to scale it, how to scale it, we don't know how to do it. And the next stage probably will be some kind of a competition with the main providers. And now it's already quite severe competition. And if we have such thing as IXN, we add on the picture, so you probably, yes, of course, it will cause a positive effect on the development of the internet in Russia. But on the other hand, the issue of localization So you connect to one end provider and you get subscribers from the whole country, which is will just not solve the problem. Well, let me add that there are peering points in one city, and we have several of them in one city. And in this case, it does make sense to join them together in some way so that we can have a network, a distributed the peering point, geographically distributed peering points. Well, it will be a local point in one region. But my question is about between regions, in between regions connections, inter-regions. From the viewpoint of CDN, the inter-regions connection, it's not always good because it can hide from us a real picture. Inter-regional connection of IXs, and you can see that in the ISHOPs, the provider operator which we work, it's quite near us, but then you have to correct the route because de facto the route can be much longer, so the picture is getting less transparent. But in general, yes, if the route is optimal, why not?
I think that interconnecting of IXP goes against the idea of IXPs, because you see in this shortcut Internet Exchange Point, P. What is P? It is a point, it is the area of one city, is it area of one region, is it area of one state? I think that the area is around one city. And we had really strong discussions with our members when we decided to open POP in Slovakia. And some of them wanted to make interconnection between Prague and Bratislava. But the rest, mainly ISPs, were against it because they are providers, they are ISPs, and they provide lines between the cities. And I absolutely agree with them because IXP will be in competitive position with them at first, and at the second thing it will go against the IXPs. So it makes sense to build separate points in the cities, in the regions, but not to interconnect them because we will act as a competitor to our members.
Well, I see we have some comments about it. Hello, colleagues. I'm from Krasnodar, and I represent the peering points from Krasnodar. And my opinion is that the peering points can transfer local traffic from the viewpoint of distance. It can be done by the long-distance operators, and they work on this problem, and probably we have to leave to solve this question to them. And the second is the introducing distances. It increases cost. And now we have questions that IX cannot compete with the long-distance operator in price.
Do I understand correctly that what is meant here is that if a long-distance operator is of IX, everyone is working, everyone in his or her, in their niche, they will find some points for cooperation in the market. Yes, exactly. Thank you. Dear colleagues, questions. We have a number of minutes. Questions to the round table participants. Would you please? Hello, Alexander Islamov. I see that if we include also a moderator to this round table, the half of those are Rostelecom or their daughter or granddaughter companies. The person responsible for relationship with YellowSkyX in Moscow, a company where I used to work, we periodically saying we are not with whatever deputy MSK, etc. So I don't know, maybe one question should be wider, not just to the roundtable participants. When does the participant of Moscow Internet Exchange or the region or branches will receive a letter? Hello, we are Rostelecom. Right now we are offering you within the same amount of money the full IP transit with the connectivity. Why do we need mass Internet Exchange? Go ahead and get our internet. How possible is that the mother company, global one, big one in Russia, might decide we don't need the internet exchange, just get the services from us? Who is your question addressed to? My question: when will MSK Exchange end up, and when will Rostelecom just eat it, like, swallow it? Well, from my point of view, IXs should be present in every city of Russia. That will affect positively. Well, in case if those IXs are Rostelecom owned, of course we would like to have that, but we have no objective of replacing IXs by transit. Not at all. There is a desire to make IXs even more transparent, more independent, because stable, because that very well positively affect the development of main core business of Rostelecom, which is the broadband and everything related on top of the transit. Transit doesn't have significant share of the Rostelecom income. And let me repeat myself, we believe that IX should be present in every city, and if it's there, we want to go there. We strive to there, and the main aspect of cost is not in the cost of connecting to IX, but of the construction to the IX or renting the fiber optic to IX. Often the rent or the construction of the fiber optic connectivity from our NAS to IX is 10 times more expensive than the connectivity to IX. The clients of Rostelecom, maybe? I don't know, maybe the question can be formulated differently. Why are you asking when will you receive whatever bill or offering from Rostelecom? Why wouldn't you receive such an offering through MSK-IX? For example, a number of commercial access for work in Moscow, they're offering not just the good conditions, but usually the very same companies selling traffic, so either exchange or traffic. We are following the neutrality policy and intend to follow that in the observable future. And my question is, would you want to buy transit from MSK-IX or not? Not at Rostelecom prices, but would you want to buy them at MSK-IX prices? 10 gigabytes per of the full transit at MSK-IX. Is that an offer? See, people want to buy transit from you, Yelena. The Rostelecom offer at MSK-IX prices. Well, you know what? Get money ready? Sure. Consider that. Okay. Mic is off. Thank you for a question. This microphone works better. Yes, but could you please introduce yourself? Gritsai Georgi, Open Network, Открытая сеть, Association. Very good question, interesting discussion. In this, if we continue living in that hypothetical situation, if IXP is connecting and organizing traffic, local one within Russia, understand that the large-scale remote transfer are responding to this, and would be difficult to cooperate with such exchange points that would be organizing the traffic that want this activity of IX point. Would that want to get access to a broad access to this backbone connectivity, or building something like that themselves? Possibly there are such projects, Data IX, and the local content providers don't care. They will count their content to such IX points. But what would be the steps of the global content providers. Include a directed question to the community and roundtable players in general. I'll try to answer myself. Georgi has drawn a picture which seems to be almost impossible from where I stand, because as of today Rostelecom has 4.5 terabytes per second, of which we transfer across the network. Building something new in Russia, it's unlikely that will be taking place, keeping in mind the prices for the transit in Russia. It's unlikely that anyone will be building anything. The other aspect is that their rental prices of the channels is going down. That's why a implementation of IXN is possible. But I don't believe that there would be any other IXNs that are capable of offering quality services of full connectivity. There would be some limited connectivity, interlinkages. For example, and Genix would be sitting and thinking, well, what do we do now? Do we keep all our nodes in Moscow and just extend the routes, but sell it at lower prices, or do we choose the route of the quality? And from my point of view, an interesting fact: as soon as various existing IXN started selling full connectivity, Rostelecom started having more clients, which is good, because people started buying, I guess, lower quality services. They tried it, said thank you, and they went to Rostelecom buying say good internet, and that's something that is, I guess, is nice for us. So if anyone wants to build IXNs and sell limited connectivity, go ahead. That will be good for Rostelecom. Would you be satisfied with such an answer? The summarizing, everyone should be doing whatever they are specializing in. Right. And over and above, Yelena was asking whether there is a need to bringing together regional IXNs. It's not a question of building a network, but something different. I understood this as the carrier-grade Ethernet offering, which is quite difficult business, and there are not that many providers in Europe. There are just 2 in the United States who are successful. Others got burned, and the investor money sank somewhere, disappeared somewhere, whilst building carrier-grade Ethernet business, which is successful, is complex but probably necessary. And we thank you, Georgi, for our question. Thank you very much. Do we have any more time, or are we rounding up? We thank the participants of the round table for their participation, for their answers. Thank you very much to the audience. We are rounding up for today, but not the overall meeting with you. Please do come over. Please contact the participants of the round table. Throughout today, we are ready to discuss all the questions of interest to you. Thank you.